That's good bourbon. I chose that bourbon because I really like it. Speaking of choice, do you have somebody that you work with or somebody maybe outside of work who just isn't making good choices? Or to get more subtle about it, do you have somebody that you work with who's not meeting expectations? Now, let's assume you've made these expectations very, very clear at work. Maybe they're written. Maybe you've talked about it with them openly. Maybe they've seen them and they've looked at these expectations and said, you bet, I'll be able to do that. And then they trundle off and don't do it. So you bring it up to them again and then they still don't do it. So overall, they're performing poorly, at least in that area, because they just are not meeting expectations that they agreed they'd be able to meet. And there's nothing that got in their way. They're just not meeting expectations. This is something you and I probably experience often, and maybe not with that same person over and over, but with other people around us. I know, I say it all the time, leadership is hard, but sometimes we make it harder than it needs to be. So I would like to share with you today the most common thing that you and I do that makes our work as leaders a lot harder than it needs to be. And I want to show you how to make a small change that will make a massive difference when you do it right away. Stick around right to the end because I'll tie it all together for you and give you a little bit of a bonus idea when we get there. So here's the deal. We have, as human beings, a superpower, right? It may not come with a cape. It may not come with goggles that we wear and a stance and dramatic music every time we enter the room, but it's a superpower nonetheless. It is an amazing superpower. It is a terrifying superpower. Here it is. It's the power of choice. We can choose. Some things are totally up to us. Here's why it's terrifying. Because we can choose, we are responsible to choose. We all have this superpower, but most of us don't use it, except in rare occasions. Those of us who do recognize this superpower of choice and the responsibility that comes with it to use that superpower of choice become highly effective people. In this video, we're talking about how you as a leader can make sure you're not making things harder than it needs to be by making choices for other people. When you and I do that, when we feel like that it's up to us to make choices for other people, especially in uncomfortable situations, when we do that, we actually are making our work significantly harder than it needs to be. We feel like we have to choose for people when they're in uncomfortable situations, or we need to make their choices so easy, the right choice, which is the choice we want them to make, so easy that they can't avoid it. Or maybe, God forbid, we work in such a way that we manipulate them so that they think that's the only choice that there is to make. Or maybe they don't even see the choice at all. We choose for them. We're making our work a lot harder than it needs to be when we are not using this power of choice. Here's what I'd like to suggest. Help yourself after you get this. I actually have free will. I can choose here and here and here. Now, not all things are up to me, but some things are completely up to me, and therefore I'm responsible for that. When you realize that that's the way you live your life and that's the way you're supposed to live your life as a leader, then you can pivot and help the people that you lead and manage and supervise and influence see their own superpower of choice. It's a new idea for some people. Some people actually think that they just have to do things that are in front of them, and they complain all the time about it. Some people blame others outside of themselves. They blame circumstances. They blame their parents. They were raised by wolves. They blame management. They blame the law. They blame gravity. They blame those makers of old-fashioned donuts. They blame everybody else. Maybe they don't do it out loud, but they certainly do that internal to themselves. So the idea that they can choose and that they have what some call agency, the ability to make really good choices or make choices at all, is a new idea to them. And when presented to them, well, hey, it's your choice, they will often back out of the responsibility of that choice by making excuses. They've outsourced personal responsibility because choice is very uncomfortable to them. You can help them see their choice like in a performance management conversation, whether it's a formal one where things have really gone off the tracks, or a formal performance management conversation where someone is doing very, very well and you just want this one thing to be improved, or it's an informal one where you are having a walk down the hallway and wanting to talk with somebody about, hey, we need this, not that. We need more of this and less of that. Whatever that conversation is, it's very, very important that in that conversation, the main thing that that person hears is, it's up to you. As a leader, you say this to people. Well, it's up to you. Here are the constraints. Here are the things we're trying to achieve. Here's where this choice will take you. Let me help you see your future. If you choose this way, that's what will happen. If you choose that way, this is likely what will happen. Or here's another choice for you. There's many choices. Maybe I haven't even thought of them all. But it's up to you to make the choice. And you tip whenever someone in a performance management conversation comes up with excuses, you tip the responsibility of the choice back to them. Well, you guys don't do this and you guys don't do that. Well, here's your choice. This is your choice. This is a really important thing to get your mind around. Apply this in every situation. Never take the choice away from a person. By doing so, you water down your effectiveness and theirs. And in effect, you teach them that it's not up to them. It's up to you as a leader. Then apply this to yourself as well. Are you choosing or are you excusing? When it comes to situations where you need to engage, are you blaming? I don't have enough time. Everybody has the same amount of time, by the way. Nobody told me. Well, the information's out there. You could have found it. If you just dug for 13 seconds, you could have found it. Nobody showed me how to do it. Well, you've learned a lot of things on your own. You can still learn this. Are you choosing or are you excusing? Remember, you and I have the responsibility to choose three things. Here's the locus of our superpower. We're responsible for choosing whom we trust, or whom we rely on and whom we depend on. That it makes a massive difference in our lives. We're responsible for choosing our perspective. That is how you and I look at something. Without changing the facts on the ground, we can change how we look at something and make a profound difference that empowers us. That's up to us to make that choice. Things aren't always as they appear because we never see everything. So we can actually change how we look at something. That's called our perspective. And the third thing that you and I are responsible for is our behavior. We can choose our behavior. I can choose to move this notepad right here. I can choose to take my glasses off like that. And more sophisticated choices. I can choose to gossip or triangulate, or I can choose to get going and get to work on something even when I don't feel like it. I choose my behavior. I know some of my behavior is harder to choose than others. The same thing with you. It's more difficult to choose that right behavior than that, but I'm still responsible for it. Many people, when they realize that they have this superpower and that therefore they are responsible to use that superpower, the power of choice, it terrifies them. It's not that they can just choose and everything's going to be easy. It's that you and I are responsible for making easy and difficult choices. The fact that we don't like doing that, the fact that it's harder in this case than in that, does not in any way alleviate our responsibility for making the choice. And here's another interesting thing. Here's a bonus tip. Thanks for sticking around to the end of the video, because not choosing is choosing. To just kind of ignore something is to choose to let it go the way that the momentum of that situation will carry it. Not choosing is choosing. I'm responsible, therefore, for that choice. All right, so, it was that old guy named Voltaire who said, with great power comes great responsibility. Just because we don't use that power doesn't mean we're free from the responsibility that comes with that superpower. That's the power of choice. Make sure you don't take that power away from other people. You can't anyway, but don't choose for other people. Don't make choices that are theirs and theirs alone to make. You know how it feels when someone does that for you. Well, there we go. That's a small change that you can make that makes a big difference. And when you do it, it makes a big difference right away. Point out, that's your choice. It's not my choice. That's your choice. Help them see where that choice goes and let them choose. Then let them live with the consequences and the benefits of having and using that superpower. Have you subscribed yet to this YouTube channel? Our Hilt Academy is a wonderful collection of videos we've been making for quite some time. And if you hit that subscribe button and then the bell that's beside it, you'll be notified when these new ones come out. By the way, they drop every single Monday morning about 7:30 Pacific time. And so you'll be notified when that comes out if you've forgotten. And if you like it, hit that thumbs up button as well. Appreciate you taking a little bit of time. That was a good choice, wasn't it? Hey, have a great day. I'm going to choose to enjoy some more of this bourbon.